Have you ever seen a moment where arrogance collides, head-on with truth, and the result changes everything? Stay with me, because this story is one of those moments, a story about judgment, assumptions, and the kind of irony that makes you hold your breath until the very last second. By the end of this video, you'll see how a single encounter on the side of a highway flipped the balance of power in the most unexpected way and left an entire community stunned. Before we dive in, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss powerful stories like this one. It started on a cool fall morning. The sky was painted in shades of gray, and the roads glistened from last night's rain. Judge Vanessa Clark was on her way to the courthouse, though not just in any role. After years of grinding work, after breaking barriers in a system not built to welcome her, she had just been appointed the new chief judge of the state. Today was supposed to be her first official day wearing that title. She drove calmly, music low, her mind on the speech she would give to her staff. But before she could finish rehearsing, it in her head, red and blue, lights erupted in her rearview mirror. Her chest tightened. She wasn't speeding. She hadn't crossed any lanes. So why was she being pulled over? Officer Daniels swaggered up to her window, tapping it twice with his flashlight, though it was broad daylight. His face was already twisted into a sneer. "License and registration," he barked, not bothering with a greeting. Vanessa rolled down her window and offered a polite smile. "Good morning, officer. May I ask why I was stopped?" Daniels scoffed. "Don't get smart with me. People like you think you can bend the rules. Step out of the vehicle." Her heart sank. She had faced bias before, in courtrooms, in boardrooms, even in law school. But something about the venom in his tone told her this was different. She stepped out slowly, heels clicking on the wet pavement. The officer gave a mocking laugh. "Driving a car like this?" he said, circling her sleek black sedan. "Yeah, right. Tell me, who'd you steal it from?" His words cut sharp as knives. Vanessa felt her throat tighten, but she held her composure. Years of training had taught her that silence could be more powerful than shouting. Still, his voice rose, drawing the attention of passing drivers. "You think you're better than the law, don't you?" "Well, out here I am the law." Those words would come back to haunt him. Daniels began rifling through her purse without permission. Vanessa tried to remain calm, but her pulse quickened. Then his hand froze on a sleek leather folder tucked neatly inside. He pulled it out, flipped it open, and laughed. "Judge Vanessa Clark," he read aloud with mockery. "What, you carry fake credentials now? Think this'll get you out of trouble?" Vanessa met his eyes for the first time, her voice low but steady. "That's no fake, officer. As of this morning, I am the new chief judge of this state." The air seemed to crack. For a moment, silence hung between them, thick, suffocating. Daniels's smirk faltered, his jaw tightening as the reality sank in. The woman he had belittled, mocked, and humiliated wasn't just another driver. She was the highest-ranking judge in the state, the very person with authority over his department, his precinct, and even his career. But instead of apologizing, Daniels doubled down, his pride battling his fear. "You're lying. This is some kind of trick." Vanessa's calm broke. She straightened her back, her voice ringing with authority. "Officer Daniels, you have overstepped your authority, violated procedure, and humiliated an innocent citizen. And you did it to the very person sworn to uphold the justice you claim to serve." The words hit him like thunder. The few cars slowing down on the highway saw it all. The officer shifting nervously, the woman standing unshaken, her dignity radiating stronger than any badge on his chest. This was no longer just a traffic stop. It was a reckoning. Then came the climax. Vanessa pulled out her phone, dialing a direct number. Within moments, Daniels' radio crackled. A commanding voice echoed through, "Officer Daniels, stand down immediately. Chief Judge Clark has reported the incident. We are dispatching an internal affairs unit to your location. Do not move." Daniels' face drained of color, his authority gone in an instant. The very system he thought he controlled had turned on him, exposing his arrogance for all to see. But just as Vanessa thought the ordeal was ending, something unexpected happened. Daniels leaned in close, his voice a whisper meant only for her. "This isn't over," he hissed. You think wearing a title makes you untouchable? You've just made enemies in places you can't even see." His words sent a chill through her, because in that moment, Vanessa realized this wasn't just about one arrogant cop. It was about an entire culture, a system that wouldn't let her rise without trying to pull her down. And what she didn't know was that Daniels was connected, deeply connected to people who would stop at nothing to keep her in her place. The flashing lights of internal affairs vehicles appeared in the distance, closing in. Daniels' career looked finished. But Vanessa's battle? It was only just beginning. If you're really enjoying this story so far, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss my latest uploads. Trust me, you don't want to miss how this one ends. The flashing lights of internal affairs units washed over the wet highway as Judge Vanessa Clark stood tall against the man who had tried to strip her dignity. Officer Daniels, once so smug and commanding, now looked like a man standing on quicksand, sinking with every passing second. "Chief Judge Clark, ma'am." The lead internal affairs investigator stepped forward, his tone respectful. "We received your call. We'll take it from here." Daniels sputtered. "This is a mistake. She provoked me." His words rang hollow, desperate, even to himself. The other officers exchanged wary glances. They knew the truth. They had seen his arrogance unravel in real time. Vanessa, though shaken, refused to show it. She had spent her whole career teaching herself that composure in the face of disrespect was power. And now, that power had finally spoken back. But then came the test. The investigator turned to her. "Chief Judge Clark, as you know, protocol requires a formal statement. Do you wish to press charges for misconduct, unlawful search, and harassment?" The entire scene went silent. Daniels's breath hitched, his eyes wide with fear. He knew what those charges meant: termination, disgrace, the end of his badge and pension. For a moment, Vanessa just looked at him. The man who only minutes ago told her, "Out here, I am the law," now reduced to begging with his eyes, silently pleading for mercy. And here was the dramatic irony. The law he claimed to own was now in the hands of the very woman he tried to degrade. Vanessa inhaled deeply, her voice calm but firm. "Yes, I will be pressing charges. But more than that, I want this entire incident investigated. Not just today, not just this officer. I want a full inquiry into patterns of misconduct in this department." Gasps rippled through the other officers. This wasn't just punishment for one man. This was accountability for a system. Daniels dropped to his knees, hands trembling. "Please, don't do this. I have a family." Vanessa's eyes hardened. "You didn't think about mine when you accused me of being a criminal. You didn't think about the countless families you've humiliated before me. Actions have consequences, officer. Today, you face yours." Her words cut like a gavel slamming down in final judgment. Daniels was cuffed by internal affairs right there on the side of the highway. The irony was bitter but undeniable. The man who once claimed, "I am the law," now stood powerless, subject to it. Days later, the story exploded across the news. Headlines blazed. "Officer who harassed Chief Judge faces termination, criminal charges pending." Video clips of the incident, recorded by passing drivers, went viral. Millions watched as Daniels mocked a woman he thought was powerless, only to realize she was the highest-ranking judge in the state. The public reaction was fierce. Some cheered, calling it long overdue justice. Others whispered in fear, wondering how many lives had been scarred by men like Daniels who never got caught. But the loudest voice was Vanessa's. Standing before reporters on the courthouse steps, she delivered a message that shook the system. No one is above the law. Not a citizen, not a cop, not even a judge. Justice doesn't bow to arrogance, and power doesn't excuse abuse. Let today serve as a reminder. Dignity is not a privilege. It is a right. Her speech went viral. She had turned her humiliation into a weapon for change, and the ultimate justice. Weeks later, Daniels was stripped of his badge. His termination letter was signed by the very person he had belittled on the highway, Chief Judge Vanessa Clark. The final blow to his pride was poetic. He had to walk into her courtroom to hear the verdict on his disciplinary case. As he stood trembling before her, she delivered the ruling with the same steady voice he once mocked. Officer Daniels, you were entrusted with authority and used it to degrade, to harass, and to intimidate. Justice demands consequences. Your badge is revoked, your pension forfeited, and your record will reflect your actions. This court is adjourned. The gavel struck. His career ended in shame. And the courtroom erupted in applause, not for his downfall, but for the justice that had finally been served. Vanessa walked out of that courtroom with her head high, knowing this wasn't just her victory. It was a victory for everyone who had ever been told they didn't belong, who had been silenced or degraded by someone hiding behind a badge or a title. Life lesson. Power does not define character. Integrity does. Arrogance may thrive for a moment, but truth and justice always outlast it. Now let me ask you this. If you were in Judge Vanessa's shoes, would you have shown mercy to Officer Daniels? Or would you have pressed charges just like she did? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another powerful story.